Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the She's Next Level podcast. If you are new here, my name is Darsh, and I help women look hotter, feel healthier, and be happier. So, if that is something that you want to do, then stick around. And also, I do have one on one sessions available for anybody that's looking to heal their hair or any physical symptoms that they're experiencing. I help you heal it energetically and physically so that you can live your best life without your health holding you back. This topic of this episode today around what your body is telling you when you're in pain is a very common story that's happening, and I'm going to get into it in a bit once I explain what happened with, like last week with what happened to me and basically how I shifted my body and like the symptoms that I was feeling energetically, physically, like all of that literally went from feeling drained to within minutes, okay? Like it was mind blowing even after doing all this fucking work that I have been doing and like learning everything that I've learned. It still fascinates me. Within minutes, I was able to literally shift everything and feel good again, like feel energized again, like feel fine. And it was so freaking cool because it was such a magical moment for me. And I was just like, wow, this stuff really fucking works when you make it work, when you know how to make it work. It's honestly a game changer. So, basically, last week I went to a solid core class and I usually set intentions before anything that I do. I'm always setting intentions to, how I want to feel during the class, how I want to feel after. It's always a great practice, something that I'm always going to be doing for the rest of my fucking life because it's like you're literally guiding your life through the way that you want to experience it. And it's the easiest way to go about embodiment, in my opinion. So I did that. And then after class, I noticed that I wasn't feeling fine. I wasn't feeling the intention that I set for myself. And so I knew automatically something was off. But not only because of that, I was actually physically feeling off. So, like, I was feeling physically drained, like as if I literally had like no energy in my body, mentally drained. And I was starting to low key feel a headache coming on as I got in the car and I was driving back, and I just like instantly knew. You just like, when you know when something is off, you can't even pinpoint where it's coming from or what's going on, but you can feel it and you know something's off. And if you're in tune with your body, my girl, you feel that shit. And if you are not in tune with your body, then we need to talk. And I'll help you get there. And I was like, okay, there's something going on. And I sometimes do some energy work to help myself feel better. But I was like, we're not going to do that this time because that is like the same thing as just putting a fucking band aid over a deep wound that needs to be addressed deeper into the root of what's going on. It's like we need to address the main thing, we need to nip it in the butt. I basically ran through a process that I have been working on and implementing, and I will be sharing a bit of that with you guys at the end of this podcast episode after I share everything and what's going on with this when this happens in your body, when you're feeling pain. Essentially, I got to basically the root of what was going on, and it was around nourishment. Nourishment came up for me, and it was interesting because I was basically seeing tiny ways where this was coming up in my day to day. And when you start noticing like something coming up over and over again, like fucking pay attention because your higher self is literally trying to get your attention with that. It's better to catch it when it's small than when it's like a big thing because it will. It will always be there until you address it. So it was around nourishment for me and basically around me feeling bad that I wasn't nourishing myself socially. It was really just like a mini form of me beating myself up in a way of not feeling like I'm spending time nourishing myself socially. Nourishment is a big thing for me, and especially, relative to feminine energy, it is one of the components to being able to thrive in your feminine energy, to thrive in yourself, in your life, in your life force that you have within you. And I'm glad that it came up then because I swear to God, like the moment I caught it and then I did the tool, it like within minutes it was like shifted. And so I wanted to get into just giving you guys a little bit of an intro around what is your body telling you when you are feeling some type of pain in your body, And it doesn't have to be like a crazy pain. It can be something even like as like a headache or something subtle of like just feeling so tired and drained. And so what I want you guys to understand about your body is that I want you to think of your body as your own personal life coach. This is like the easiest way for me to understand this whole concept, and also just understanding it better, because it's always relaying messages to you. It's always reflecting back to you what's going on internally, whether you're conscious of it or not. And I've mentioned this a few times in previous podcast episodes, and I'm not going to get too deep into what this law is, but essentially, the law of reflections is basically whatever you feel like an external situation or an outcome or anything that's going on outside of you, it's basically reflecting back to you what is going on internally, because nothing outside of you can exist without you, without your perception, your awareness, your existence. It's like I always say, like, it literally is your life, it's your world, and you are living in it, and everything is responding to you based on what you're emanating. So the law of reflection is basically telling you what's going on. And so that's why the way people treat you is because of the way that you're treating yourself. And a little bit of however they're treating you has also to do with them too. But you guys were an energetic match for that level of treatment, for that interaction. So, not to like beat yourself up about this. And that is literally what I'm going to get into of any type of pain that you feel in your body, whether it's like something subtle and small or big, is because it's some form of beating yourself up, of being hard on yourself. When you are out of unconditional love, this is what happens. And this is why unconditional love is a big part of my work, along with self prioritization. But unconditional love really is the foundation. And I have a podcast episode about unconditional self-love. If you haven't checked it out, I will link it in the description box so that you guys can tune into that one as well to understand it better and help you be able to work on that. But it really is a form of beating yourself up. And, you know, a lot of this is unconscious. So I don't want you to be hard on yourself, because even this for me was very unconscious. Even with all the work that I do, like, this was not in my radar at all until I started to experience these reflections coming up for me to show me where it is that I was emotionally imbalanced from my true core authentic self, from my true core happiness. And this is what it's always telling you. So, any type of pain that you feel in your body, I want you to start to see it as a good thing. And I know this is going to be like kind of like, what, bitch? Like, this has been holding me back. This has been the thing that's been the bane of my existence. I fucking get it. I get it. Because I have went through some healing this year with my body. And I get it, girl. I get it. But I want you to start to shift your perception into seeing it in another way, into the lens of unconditional love, which is the way that Source sees things, which is the way that we all innately have and are, is true unconditional self-love. And so I want you to start to see the pain and the symptom that you're having as a feedback system, and your body trying to communicate with you what's going on, where we're out of balance. And I'd rather you deal with it now than have it go unnoticed, or even if you're aware and you're trying to ignore it and not address it, it's going to get worse. So it's better that you do that now. And so I like to catch these things when they're very subtle, when they're happening, like right in the moment as I can, but pay attention to them and nip it in the bud like I did, because then doesn't become like a bigger issue. And so the first thing that I would recommend everybody is to look into what areas in my life am I being hard on myself? Am I like not unconditionally loving myself, beating myself up over? What areas of my life am I doing this in, and how? Because it can be in those very subtle, like nuancy ways and how you're doing it, whether you're aware of it or not. But you can use this practice, maybe journal it out and go through the areas of life. There's 8 areas of life. So you have the physical area of life. Anything physically, when you're taking care of your body. Are you not loving your body? Are you beating yourself up by the way you look? Are you beating yourself up by the way that you're eating, or anything like that? Then we have mental. So mentally, I feel like this is kind of like an automatic area of life, because mental is the thoughts that we have, how we think about ourselves, our perception of ourselves. So mentally, with your thoughts, specifically with your thoughts, are you beating yourself up? Then you have the spiritual area of life with your intuition, with your spiritual faith and your practice. Like, are you beating yourself up over that? Are you beating yourself up in your career area of life? I know a lot of us are. This comes up a lot, man. It's like career and then finance area of life too. Are you beating yourself up in your family area of life, in your social area of life? And that includes like your boyfriend. Are you beating yourself up in your passion hobby area of life? And this one is quite unnoticed. It's actually my favorite area of life. Like anything you do for fun that doesn't involve money, are you beating yourself up over the way that you showed up or over the results that you have from the skill that you're learning and like the new instrument that you're playing or whatever it is? Take inventory of all the 8 areas of life, and then I want you to ask yourself, how am I doing so? This is going to be an awareness practice to start with, because this is going to give you an idea of what's going on so that you can start to nip these things in the bud so that they don't have to show up physically for you to get your attention, because that is exactly what happens. That is why we have these symptoms and things show up in our bodies, because it is that important. It is that prominent in your body that your body's like, I can't take this level of beating up anymore. Like, I got to get her attention. And usually when you are doing some form of beating yourself up, like your body is technically trying to protect itself from you. And that's why like that is one of the root causes for weight gain and the fat being on, because the body doesn't feel safe from the level of beating up that's going on. So that's something that you can look into if that's happening for you with your body weight. And how I shifted the symptoms that I was experiencing so rapidly within minutes was from this very simple exercise that I did, which I'm going to share a piece of it with you guys. And it was really interesting too, because when I intuitively looked in, like I usually measure everything scientifically. So like 0 to 100, 100% type of situation. So I can measure like how accurate, how close things are, because it can be a yes, but how much of a yes, things like that. And when I looked in, I shifted 79% out of 100% shifting the reflection going on for me. And that is why I was experiencing the shifts within minutes. It was really, really cool because I was able to like cross-check intuitively, see how this worked to understand the whole thing. So the way that I healed and shifted my symptoms within minutes is basically like a piece of this protocol that I'm going to give you guys. And how I did it was taking the foundational piece that I gave you guys, right? It's good to have a general guideline of like any type of pain that I'm feeling in my body. I know that there's some form of beating myself up going on. So I took that piece and then I took it to like where in my body that I was feeling it, right? I was feeling it in my head. So headache, okay, I'm feeling pressure. I'm feeling like I'm beating myself up, being hard on myself in some way. And then in my body, I was feeling drained and like literally tired, like out of life force energy type of vibes, which is key, right? Because that is the opposite of nourishment. So I was feeling that. I was allowing myself to receive what was coming through for me when I was asking myself those questions, because telling you, even when you feel like you're not intuitively trained or you're not using intuition or you haven't developed that skill yet, you have it. And it is always working. It's always giving you info. So trust it when you're asking yourself those questions. Your intuitive brain is going to tell you what's going on. So I was asking myself those questions of like, okay, like beating myself up, how, like what's going on here? What's going on in my body? Great. Got that info. Then I went to the last 24 hours with that info and I was like, where do I feel like this popped up for me? This feeling that popped up. And usually it starts from like a moment where you were feeling fine, like in a happy state. And then that tip off moment, that moment where you started feeling off, that's what you want to tie it into and pay attention to, because usually that energy is fresh. So that energy is going to play into the next day for you. And that is how I was able to tie the 2 and 2 together of like, oh, this is what's going on. I was thinking about that the day prior when I scanned through the day of the last 24 hours. That moment did come up for me where I had a thought of like feeling a little bad about not texting my friend to hang out that weekend. And it was supposed to be the weekend after, but I was like, oh, maybe I could have though. And I was also starting to feel like I wasn't spending enough time socially, and I felt like this desire for in-person connection. And so I tied that together and I got nourishment from that. And when I also intuitively looked in afterwards, all of that checked out. And so then from there, like that's the first piece that I want you guys to start practicing with and start training your brain to go back to the 24 hours to see what's fresh, like what is going on that's showing me right now what's happening from any form of beating yourself up. You also have your list too that I told you guys to write down, like when and where am I doing this? So you can always go back to that list too if you find yourself having a hard time figuring out what's going on. Because all of that is still in your awareness, it could give you a hint of like where this is coming from. And so that 24-hour tool though is so good because it trains your brain to remember and go back to what are the things that are prominent, that are happening, that are fresh in your energy right now. And it's a great way for you to do it, like quote unquote, without using intuition, even though you always are. So this is what I did. And then usually what I do with my clients from there is then I do share a brain reprogramming tool to help them shift in real time. And that is exactly what I did to shift in real time to change the way that my brain is thinking and feeling, therefore changing the way I'm feeling, and then changing everything happening at once within minutes. Like I literally, guys, felt the heaviness lift off of me. I felt energy back again. I felt alive, and it stayed that way. That's something I want to point out too, is fucking stay that way. It did not go nowhere. I wasn't feeling drained an hour later, whatever. And that is what's really cool about the energetics of life, shifting the emotional imbalances that we have, because everything starts from the emotion. And so I find this stuff really, really fascinating, even as I'm like learning and diving deeper into emotional mastery lately, around how important the skill set is and how important it is to not just like understand our emotions, but be available for them and to then have the right tools to shift them in real time and not like a fucking thing that has to be homework for you. Cause I'm like big on that. I don't like the way I like to like work on things is like that it's not a tool, it's just integrated in my lifestyle. I'm embodying how I want to be and how I want to live and who I want to become, what I want to experience. So practice this tool. Like it will take a couple of times. It may be difficult in the beginning, as if anything new that you're trying, but practice a few times and let me know your feedback. Like, let me know what comes up for you. Having some type of framework like this of like, okay, I'm beating myself in some way gives you at least something to work with. And then with that protocol that I gave you guys of like looking at your body, how are you beating yourself up, looking at your list that you created, and then go back 24 hours to see where that energy was fresh, like it will pinpoint a lot of things to you and help you guys kind of get to the bottom of things. And if you really do want to get to the bottom of something that has been a nagging issue for a while, like whether it is with your hair or whether it is, you know, any symptom in your body, then you can apply for a one-on-one session and I can help you get to the root and the bottom of that, as well as give you physical tools to shift that, because you need both things to manifest 100%. That is it for today's podcast. If you've tried any of the tools that I've shared in my podcast that has really helped you, or even today's tool that I shared, let me know how your experience goes. I want to celebrate you. Hit me up on Instagram. My Instagram is Darsh Vibes, DARSH VIBESS. And it would really mean a lot to me if you guys could leave me a 5-star review. It helps grow the podcast to more women like us, and I wouldn't be able to do it without you. So make sure you leave a review, and I will catch you guys in the next episode. Bye.